The first thing Lucian felt was the sword entering his chest. Cold steel punched through bone, tore through his lung, and burst from his back in a spray of black blood. The second thing he heard was laughter. Not the laughter of enemies, the laughter of heroes. Prince Alaric stood before him in silver armor, one hand wrapped around the jeweled hilt. His golden hair shone beneath the burning sky. Behind him, the royal knights watched with disgust, as though Lucian were not a dying man but filth clinging to their boots. At the prince's side stood 5 women, 5 heroines, 5 women Lucian had once protected with everything he had. Seraphina the saintess looked away. Evelyn, the archmage, crossed her arms. Kayla, the sword prodigy, stared at him without emotion. Mirelle, the elven princess, wore a faint smile. And Rosalie, the woman Lucian had loved since childhood, held the prince's arm like a devoted bride. Lucian coughed blood. Why? Rosalie's beautiful face twisted with contempt. Because you are weak. The word struck deeper than the blade. Prince Alaric leaned closer. You were born to be a stepping stone, Lucian. Nothing more. The knights laughed again. The sky above the ruined capital burned crimson. Demonic beasts poured through the shattered gates. Screams rose from every street. The kingdom was collapsing, yet the heroes had chosen this moment to murder the man who had guided them through every trap, uncovered every conspiracy, and sacrificed his own future to keep them alive. Lucian had no divine blood, no sacred weapon, no legendary class. He was merely the forgotten son of a fallen baron, the weakest character in a world ruled by chosen ones. He had spent years helping Alaric gather the heroines. He had warned Seraphina about the corrupted bishop. He had found the ancient spell book that made Evelyn famous. He had taken a poisoned blade meant for Kayla. He had negotiated peace between Mirelle and the human court. He had protected Rosalie when assassins burned their village. Every reward had gone to the prince. Every achievement had been stolen. Every woman he saved had eventually walked to Alaric's side. Lucian had accepted it. He had believed loyalty would be rewarded. He had believed sacrifice had meaning. He had believed the prince would save the kingdom. He had been a fool. Alaric twisted the sword. Agony exploded through Lucian's body. You know too much, the prince whispered. The people trust you. The soldiers listen to you. Even my women speak your name when they think I cannot hear. Lucian's eyes moved toward the heroines. For the first time, he saw the truth. Seraphina's guilt was not kindness, it was cowardice. Evelyn's silence was not confusion, it was permission. Kayla's coldness was not discipline. It was betrayal. Smile was not elegance, it was cruelty. Rosalie's love had never existed. They had chosen the prince, not because he was noble, because he was powerful, because he was useful, because standing beside him was safer than standing beside Lucian. The weakest man was always the easiest sacrifice. A roar shook the battlefield. Beyond the ruined palace, the demon emperor rose from a sea of corpses. His wings blotted out the moon. Dark fire rolled across the capital. Prince Alaric pulled his sword free. Lucian collapsed onto the broken stones. Your death will unite the kingdom, Alaric declared. We will tell them you betrayed us. We will say you opened the gates for the demons. Your name will become a curse. Rosalie stepped forward. She placed her heel against Lucian's hand. Then she crushed his fingers beneath her boot. You should be grateful, she said. At least your useless life will finally have value. Something inside Lucian broke. Not his bones. Something far deeper. The last trace of mercy died. The last fragment of loyalty vanished. His pain became quiet. His hatred became cold. He looked at the prince, then at each heroine. He memorized their faces. He memorized their voices. He memorized the warmth of blood filling his lungs. If fate ever gave him another chance, he would not expose them. He would not warn them. He would not forgive them. He would smile. He would bow. He would let them believe he was still weak. Then he would take everything. Their treasures, their fame, their power, their futures, their hope, even their love. Especially their love. The demon emperor descended. Dark fire swallowed the palace. Lucian's final sight was Prince Alaric, screaming as the world burned around him. Then everything vanished. Silence. A bell rang. Lucian opened his eyes. Sunlight poured through stained glass windows. The scent of incense filled the air. Hundreds of young nobles stood beneath the sacred dome of the Royal Awakening Hall. Priests in white robes surrounded a crystal altar. Above them floated the golden crest of the empire. Lucian stared at his hands, no blood, no scars, no broken fingers. His body was younger, weak, alive. A priest struck the ceremonial staff against the marble floor. Lucian Vale, step forward. Whispers spread through the hall. That fallen noble? I heard his family sold their last estate. He looks half-starved. Why did the academy even accept him? Lucian slowly raised his head. At the front of the crowd stood Prince Alaric, younger, smaller, still wearing that same confident smile. Beside him was Rosalie. She had not yet become the prince's lover. Her hair was tied with the blue ribbon Lucian had given her when they were children. She looked at him with faint concern. The sight almost made him laugh. He knew this day. The awakening ceremony. The beginning of the story. The day every noble received a class from the divine crystal. The day Prince Alaric awakened the legendary Sun Sovereign class. The day Rosalie awakened the rare Spirit Healer class. The day Lucian received the weakest class in the kingdom, Observer. A class mocked as useless because it granted no combat skills, no magic, and no physical enhancement. In his previous life, Lucian had believed the class was worthless. He had spent years serving stronger people. Years watching, years learning, years surviving. Only at the end had he understood. Observer was not weak. He had been using it incorrectly. Lucian walked toward the altar. Every step felt like walking backward through his own grave. The priest gestured toward the crystal. Place your hand upon it. Lucian obeyed. Cold light wrapped around his fingers. The crystal trembled. A translucent screen appeared before his eyes. No one else reacted, only he could see it. Observer awakened. Hidden condition fulfilled. The soul has witnessed the destruction of the world. The soul has returned beyond the river of death. The soul has recognized the false heroes. Unique authority unlocked. Destiny plunderer. Lucian's heartbeat slowed. More words appeared. Observe a target. Discover their hidden talents, future opportunities, weaknesses, affections, and destiny paths. Interfere with the destiny path. Claim its rewards. Sever a bond, create a bond, steal the fortune of heaven's chosen. Lucian read each line. Then he smiled. It was a small smile. Harmless. The kind of smile worn by a boy too weak to defend himself. Inside, a blade slid from its sheath. The crystal flashed gray. The priest frowned. Observer laughter exploded through the hall. A noble boy nearly doubled over. Observer? He awakened a servant class. Not even a servant. A servant can carry luggage. What can an observer do? Watch other people become successful? Prince Alaric covered his mouth, pretending to hide his amusement. Rosalie looked embarrassed. Lucian removed his hand from the crystal. In his previous life, this had been the moment his confidence shattered. He had lowered his head. He had endured their mockery. He had sworn to prove his worth through loyalty. Now he looked directly at Prince Alaric. Observe. Golden light erupted around the prince. A hidden panel unfolded. Current destiny rank, Son of Heaven. Primary class, unawakened Sun Sovereign. Hidden trait, Fortune Devourer. Core weakness, his destiny depends upon stealing opportunities gathered by others. Emotional weakness, obsession with ownership, future opportunity. Beneath the eastern bell tower lies the Dawnfire Ring, a divine relic that will merge with the Sun Sovereign class during awakening. Required guide, Lucian Vale. Lucian almost laughed. So that was how it had begun. In his previous life, Alaric had asked Lucian to explore the eastern bell tower before the ceremony ended. Lucian had found the hidden chamber. He had handed the ring to the prince. Moments later, Alaric awakened his legendary class. Everyone had called it divine favor. It had been theft. Lucian turned his gaze toward Rosalie. Rosalie Hart, current destiny rank, Crimson Heroine. Primary class, Spirit Healer, Hidden Bloodline, Phoenix Saint. Core weakness, fear of abandonment. Future opportunity. A dormant phoenix feather is sealed inside the pendant, worn by Lucian Vale. Awakening condition. Genuine emotional resonance with the pendant's owner. Lucian touched the old pendant beneath his shirt. In his previous life, he had given it to Rosalie after the ceremony. Her bloodline had awakened that night. She had believed the prince caused it. Lucian had never corrected her. He looked away. Not yet. Taking revenge too quickly was the pleasure of idiots. A dead enemy suffered once. A ruined enemy suffered every day. The ceremony continued. Prince Alaric approached the crystal. The hall grew silent. He placed his hand upon it. Golden light rose, but it did not explode. The crystal flickered weakly. The prince's smile froze. A priest leaned closer. Radiant night. Confused murmurs spread through the crowd. Radiant night was powerful, rare, respected. But it was not legendary. It was not the class Alaric remembered receiving in Lucian's previous life. The prince stared at the crystal. There must be a mistake. The high priest frowned. The divine crystal does not make mistakes. Lucian lowered his eyes to hide his amusement. The Dawnfire ring was still beneath the eastern bell tower. Without Lucian retrieving it, Alaric could not become the Sun Sovereign. The prince turned. His gaze found Lucian. For a moment panic flashed behind his eyes. Then it vanished beneath arrogance. After the ceremony, Alaric approached him near the courtyard fountain. Rosalie followed. Several noble heirs gathered behind them. "Lucian," Alaric said warmly, "I heard rumors about a hidden chamber beneath the eastern bell tower. The same words, the same smile, the same trap." In the previous life, Lucian had rushed to help. Now he tilted his head. "A hidden chamber?" Alaric placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have always been good at noticing small details. Search the tower for me. Bring me anything unusual." "For you?" The prince's fingers tightened. "We are friends, are we not?" Lucian looked at the hand on his shoulder. "Friends." The word tasted like old blood. Rosalie stepped closer. "Lucian, His Highness is giving you a chance to prove your usefulness. You should be grateful." Lucian smiled. "Of course." Alaric relaxed. "Good." Lucian bowed. Then he walked away. He did not head toward the eastern bell tower. He went west, past the academy gardens, past the night barracks, past the abandoned chapel covered in ivy. In his previous life, he had discovered many secrets too late. One of them lay beneath the chapel. A heroine the prince would not meet for several months was currently imprisoned below it. The Empire called her a cursed beast. The Church called her an abomination. Future generations would call her the strongest sword in human history. Kayla Draven. In the previous life, Lucian had freed her. Prince Alaric had taken the credit. Kayla had sworn eternal loyalty to the prince. This time, Lucian would arrive before the lie began. He entered the ruined chapel. Dust drifted through broken sunlight. A stone statue of the goddess stood without a head. Lucian knelt beside the altar and pressed a hidden carving. The floor opened. Cold air rose from the darkness. He descended. Chains rattled below. A girl sat inside a cage carved with holy runes. Her black hair covered her face. Her wrists were bleeding. A metal collar circled her throat. Ancient symbols crawled across her skin like living shadows. She raised her head. Her eyes were red. Not beautiful red. The red of fresh slaughter. "Another priest?" she whispered. Lucian approached the cage. "No." "Then leave, I came to make a deal." She laughed bitterly. "You smell weak. You are not afraid?" Lucian crouched before the bars. "I have already died once." Kayla stared at him. "Observe. Current destiny rank. Calamity heroine. Primary class. Sealed abyss sword saint. Hidden trait. Absolute loyalty. Core weakness. She will never betray the first person who frees her without demanding submission. Future opportunity. The seal can be broken using blood willingly offered by a reincarnated soul." Lucian examined the holy runes. Then he drew a small knife from his sleeve. Kayla's eyes narrowed. He cut his palm. Blood struck the cage. The runes screamed. Dark light erupted through the underground chamber. Chains snapped. The metal collar cracked. The cage door swung open. Kayla remained still. For the first time, fear entered her eyes. Not fear of Lucian, fear of freedom. "Why?" she asked. Lucian held out his bleeding hand. "Because the people who locked you here will soon try to use you. And you will not?" "I will." Her expression hardened. Lucian's smile deepened. "I will use your strength. You will use my knowledge. I will never pretend otherwise." Silence filled the chamber. Kayla looked at his hand, then at his face. Slowly, she reached through the open cage. Her fingers closed around his. The hidden screen flashed. Destiny bond established. The Calamity heroine has rejected her original path. Prince Alaric has lost a future companion. Destiny stolen, reward granted. Abyssal sword heart. Pain tore through Lucian's chest. Not the helpless agony of death. This pain was power. Something dark and sharp awakened inside him. His weak muscles tightened. His senses expanded. The air itself seemed filled with invisible edges. Kayla stepped from the cage. She swayed. Lucian caught her. Her head rested against his shoulder. "You are still weak," she murmured. "For now." Above them, the academy bells began to ring. Lucian knew what they meant. Prince Alaric had sent men to the eastern tower. They would find the hidden chamber. They would find the pedestal. But the Dawnfire ring would no longer be there. Before entering the chapel, Lucian had released a trained raven, carrying a simple command to an old smuggler beneath the city. Retrieve the ring. Deliver it to the black market. Place the purchase under Lucian Vale's name. The prince's first legendary opportunity was already gone. Lucian looked toward the ceiling. Somewhere above, Alaric was probably shouting. Rosalie was probably defending him. The noble heirs were probably blaming servants. Lucian felt no urge to reveal himself. Let the prince search. Let him rage. Let him believe fate had made a mistake. This was only the beginning. Lucian had returned as the weakest character. The world expected him to kneel. The heroes expected him to serve. The heroines were destined to gather around the prince. Lucian would change all of it. He would steal every opportunity before Alaric touched it. He would shatter every bond before it formed. He would take every heroine the prince believed belonged to him. Not with promises, not with kindness. With truth, with power, with perfectly calculated desire. And when Alaric finally stood alone, stripped of glory, love, and destiny, Lucian would show him the same smile he wore while dying. A quiet smile, a merciless smile. The smile of a man preparing a throne from the bones of heroes. By dawn, the academy was already choking on rumors. The Dawnfire ring was gone. The eastern bell tower had been sealed. 3 servants had been dragged into interrogation rooms. 2 instructors had been suspended. Prince Alaric had broken a marble table with his bare hands. Lucian heard all of it while sitting beneath an old cedar tree, calmly tearing bread into smaller pieces for Kayla. She ate without grace, without shame. Like a starving wolf that had learned manners were a luxury for people who had never been chained underground. Her black hair had been washed. Her wounds had been wrapped. Lucian had dressed her in a plain academy cloak, stolen from an empty storage room. The cloth could not hide what she was. Even weakened, Kayla carried danger around her like a second shadow. Students instinctively avoided the tree. They did not know why. Their bodies knew before their minds did. Kayla swallowed the last piece of bread. You said someone would come. They will. Enemies? Worse. Lucian glanced toward the academy path. Friends. Prince Alaric appeared moments later. Rosalie walked beside him. Behind them came several noble students wearing expressions of righteous anger. Their voices were low. Their eyes were sharp. They expected a confession before they even arrived. Alaric stopped beneath the tree. Lucian. Lucian looked up. Your Highness. The formal title made Rosalie frown. In the past, Lucian had always called Alaric by name when they were alone. He had believed the prince's false warmth meant friendship. Now every polite word was a wall. Alaric noticed Kayla. His expression changed, only for an instant. Something primitive flashed in his eyes. Possession. He had never met Kayla. Yet his stolen destiny recognized what should have belonged to him. Who is she? He asked, a traveler. Kayla stared at him with open hostility. Alaric smiled at her. It was the same smile he used on frightened servants, wounded soldiers, and lonely noblewomen. Gentle. Bright. Perfectly false. You are safe here, he said. I am Prince Alaric. Kayla continued chewing. Lucian almost laughed. Rosalie stepped forward. Lucian, we need to speak. You are speaking. Her face tightened. The Dawnfire ring was stolen, I heard. You were asked to search the tower. I was, and you disappeared. Lucian nodded. I became distracted. One noble boy scoffed. By a woman? Kayla's fingers twitched. The edge of the wooden bench split without anyone touching it. The noble boy stopped laughing. Alaric's smile remained in place. Where did you find her in the city? Where in the city? Lucian met his eyes. Does it matter? The path fell silent. No one spoke to the prince that way. Not openly, not without fear. Rosalie looked horrified. Lucian, apologize. Why? Because he is trying to help you. Lucian tilted his head. Help me find a ring I never touched. Rosalie hesitated. Alaric's gaze sharpened. I never accused you. No, you brought witnesses. The noble students shifted uncomfortably. Lucian stood. He was still thin, still pale. Still dressed in clothes too old for the academy. Yet something about him had changed. His weakness no longer looked helpless. It looked hidden. Alaric sensed it. That frightened him more than guilt ever could. The prince softened his voice. We grew up together. I trust you. Lucian smiled. Then there is no problem. For a moment, neither man moved. Kayla looked from one to the other. She understood violence. She understood hatred. This was different. This was a knife fight where both blades remained inside their sleeves. Rosalie broke the silence. Lucian, His Highness has decided not to report your disappearance. How generous. He only asks that you help search the academy grounds. Lucian brushed crumbs from his sleeve. I decline. The noble boy who had mocked Kayla stepped forward. You dare reject a royal order? It was not phrased as an order. Alaric raised one hand. The boy stopped. The prince studied Lucian carefully. In the previous life, Lucian had been eager to please, easy to command. desperate to prove himself useful. This Lucian was calm. Too calm, Alaric could not understand the change. Men like him believed kindness belonged to the strong. When the weak stopped begging, they assumed rebellion. "You seem different," Alaric said. "I slept well." Rosalie stared at him. Lucian turned toward her. "Observe." Her destiny panel appeared. Affection toward Lucian Vale, declining confusion. Affection toward Prince Alaric, increasing curiosity. Current hidden desire. To be publicly recognized as valuable. Upcoming destiny opportunity. During the Academy's healing trial, a noble heir will suffer mana collapse. Rosalie will attempt treatment and fail. The Phoenix Saint bloodline can awaken through emotional resonance with Lucian's pendant. Original outcome. Prince Alaric receives credit for encouraging her. Lucian closed the panel. He had once given Rosalie everything. This time he would give her exactly what she deserved. Nothing. "Perhaps you are right," Lucian said softly. "Perhaps I should stop being childish." Relief appeared in her eyes. Then he continued. "You should return the blue ribbon." Her hand rose to her hair. "What? The ribbon I gave you?" Rosalie's face flushed. "In front of everyone, you said I should become mature. A mature man does not give personal gifts to a woman who spends every morning following another man." The noble students looked at Rosalie. Then at Alaric, whispers began. Rosalie's embarrassment turned into anger. "You are jealous." "No." Lucian's answer came too quickly. Too easily. That hurt her more. He stepped closer and removed the ribbon himself. His fingers did not touch her skin. He folded the cloth once, then placed it in his pocket. Rosalie stood frozen. In the previous life, she had worn that ribbon when she kissed Prince Alaric for the first time. Lucian remembered. He remembered everything. Alaric's expression darkened. Rosalie's humiliation should have pleased him. Instead, Lucian's indifference felt like a theft. The prince glanced at Kayla. "Come with me," he said. "The royal dormitory is safer than wandering with someone who cannot protect you." Kayla looked at Lucian. Lucian nodded. She rose. Alaric's smile returned. Kayla walked toward him. The noble students moved aside. She stopped inches from the prince. Then she leaned close enough that only he and Lucian could hear. "You smell like someone who wears another man's blood." Alaric's face went still. Kayla turned away. Lucian walked beside her. They left the prince standing beneath the tree. Behind them, Rosalie finally spoke. "You will regret this." Lucian did not turn. He had already regretted loving her. He would not waste the emotion twice. The Academy's training grounds opened after sunrise. Students crowded around enchanted pillars, testing mana output and weapon affinity. Lucian avoided the main yard. He led Kayla through an unused corridor beneath the library. At the end stood an iron door. Behind it lay a forgotten practice chamber built by the Empire's first war mage. The room was covered in broken runes. Most instructors believed it no longer worked. They were wrong. Lucian placed his palm against the central seal. Observer activated. Hidden structures appeared. Mana channels, suppression arrays, a sealed reservoir beneath the floor. He saw all of it. In the previous life, Evelyn had discovered the chamber several months later. She had repaired one rune and gained access to the reservoir. That single discovery had allowed her to become the youngest archmage in the kingdom. Prince Alaric had introduced her to the room. Lucian had shown him the entrance. Again, the prince had taken everything. Lucian pressed 3 damaged symbols in sequence. The chamber awakened. Blue fire raced along the walls. The floor trembled. A deep reservoir of mana surged upward. Kayla drew a sharp breath. "This place could train an army. It will train us." Lucian opened his hidden panel. Destiny Plunderer. Available stolen reward. Abyssal Sword Heart. Observed opportunities nearby. 17. Compatible opportunities. 6. Highest value opportunity. Mana Devouring Foundation. Original owner. Location. Beneath the eastern rune circle. Lucian walked toward the circle. Kayla followed. "What are you doing?" "Stealing." He knelt and pressed his bleeding palm against the floor. The rune circle opened like an eye. Mana burst upward. It entered his body violently. His bones cracked, his veins burned. The weak flesh of Lucian Vale had never been designed to hold such power. That did not matter. The Abyssal Sword Heart began cutting the wild mana apart. Each strand was sliced, refined, compressed, forced into his core. Pain rolled through him in waves. He did not scream. Kayla watched blood run from his nose. "You will die. Not today. Stop, no." The chamber shook harder. Mana filled his lungs. His sight turned white. Then Destiny Plunderer reacted. Opportunity claimed. Mana Devouring Foundation acquired. Original destiny path severed. Evelyn Ardent has lost a future breakthrough. Lucian's body became a furnace. The mana no longer resisted. It was dragged inward, devoured. Compressed into a black core beneath his heart, his strength rose, not gradually, brutally. The weakest body in the academy began rebuilding itself. Muscle fibers tightened. Bones grew denser. His senses sharpened. The world slowed. Lucian opened his eyes. Kayla stood before him with her sword half drawn. "You changed not enough," he rose. The chamber's mana reservoir had fallen by nearly half. That amount had once supported Evelyn's growth for years. Lucian consumed it in less than an afternoon. His class panel remained gray, observer, still mocked, still apparently useless. His true power did not appear on the public crystal. Perfect. Kayla stepped onto the training circle. "Fight me." Lucian removed his coat. "I am not ready. You are stronger than you pretend, so are you." Her red eyes narrowed. Then no warning, no mercy. Her hand cut through the air like a blade. Lucian leaned aside. Her fingers missed his throat by a breath. He struck her wrist. She turned with the impact. Her knee drove toward his ribs. Lucian blocked. The force launched him across the chamber. He hit the wall. Stone cracked behind him. Kayla smiled for the first time. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator discovering another predator. Lucian wiped blood from his mouth. Again. They trained until evening. Kayla shattered his guard. Lucian learned. She broke his shoulder. The mana-devouring foundation repaired it. She cut his cheek. The abyssal sword heart memorized the angle. Each defeat lasted less time than the one before. Each attack became cleaner. Each movement became colder. By sunset, Lucian blocked her bare-handed strike. Kayla froze. His fingers were wrapped around her wrist. His other hand rested against her throat. A thin line of sword aura touched her skin. Neither moved. Then Kayla laughed, a quiet sound, almost surprised. "You really are a monster." "No." He picked up his coat. "I am becoming practical." That night, Rosalie attended the Academy's healing trial. Lucian knew the sequence. A noble heir named Cedric would push too much mana into the testing crystal. His channels would collapse. The instructors would panic. Rosalie would step forward. Her spirit healer class would fail. Then Lucian would give her the pendant. The Phoenix Saint bloodline would awaken. The crowd would praise her. Prince Alaric would stand beside her. That was the old future. Lucian entered the healing hall wearing a servant's cloak. Kayla remained hidden in the upper gallery. The trial began. Rosalie stood beneath the lights, beautiful and nervous. Prince Alaric watched from the royal seats. Cedric approached the crystal. He forced mana into it. The crystal cracked. His body seized. He collapsed. Exactly as before. Panic collapse. "Call the high priest. He will die." Rosalie rushed forward. "This is my chance," she whispered. She placed her hands on Cedric's chest. White light appeared. It flickered, then vanished. Cedric screamed. His veins turned black. Rosalie tried again. Nothing. The crowd began whispering. "She cannot heal him." Was her class evaluated incorrectly? A spirit healer should be able to stabilize mana channels. Rosalie looked toward Prince Alaric. He remained seated. He did not know what to do. In the previous life, Lucian had already been standing beside her. Now he watched from the shadows. Her eyes searched the hall. They found him. For one desperate moment, relief crossed her face. "Lucian!" Everyone turned. Rosalie reached toward him. "The pendant." "Give me the pendant." Lucian walked forward slowly. She remembered. Some part of her knew the pendant made her feel warm. Safe, strong. She did not know why. She did not care. She only knew she needed it. "Please," she said. The word was soft, urgent, familiar. In the previous life, it would have moved him. Now it meant nothing. Lucian stopped beyond her reach. "You told me my gifts embarrassed you." Rosalie's face turned pale. "No," Cedric convulsed. Blood spilled from his mouth. Rosalie's voice shook. "He will die." Lucian looked at the dying noble. Then at her. "Yes." The hall went silent. Rosalie stared at him as though seeing a stranger. "You can help." "I can then help me." Lucian smiled. "No." Her expression shattered. "How dare you withhold aid?" Lucian turned toward him. "Your Highness is a radiant knight. Surely your rare class can save him." Mockery flickered through the crowd. Alaric heard it. His face darkened. He stepped toward Cedric, gathered golden mana, and pressed it into the collapsing channels. The reaction was immediate. Cedric screamed louder. The black veins spread. An instructor pulled Alaric back. "You are making it worse!" The prince stumbled. The hall erupted in panic. Then another woman entered. She wore a dark blue robe. Silver hair fell over one shoulder. Her eyes were calm and merciless. Evelyn Ardent, the future Archmage, the second heroine. She approached Cedric, studied him once, and raised her hand. A complex mana pattern formed. Elegant. Precise, almost perfect, but weaker than it should have been. The mana-devouring foundation was gone. Her future breakthrough had already been stolen. Evelyn stabilized Cedric temporarily. The instructors carried him away. The crowd praised her. Rosalie remained kneeling on the floor. Forgotten, humiliated. Prince Alaric moved toward Evelyn. His destiny pulled him forward. Lucian observed both of them. A new path appeared. Evelyn's upcoming opportunity. A forbidden grimoire would be auctioned beneath the capital within 3 days. Original outcome. Prince Alaric purchases it using royal funds and gifts it to Evelyn. Hidden danger. The grimoire contains a soul parasite. True reward. The parasite can be devoured by the mana-devouring foundation, creating a living spell core. Lucian smiled. He would let the prince buy it. He would let Alaric present it proudly. He would let Evelyn believe she had received a priceless treasure. Then he would wait. The poison would enter their hands willingly. Lucian turned away from Rosalie's broken expression. Kayla joined him outside the hall. What now? She asked. Lucian looked toward the city lights. The black market auction would begin soon. The prince would bring gold. The heroine would bring ambition. Lucian would bring patience now, he said. We give them exactly what they want. Above the academy, the bells rang through the night. Below them, destiny began changing owners. The black market beneath the capital opened only after midnight. Its entrance changed every week. Sometimes it hid behind a butcher's cellar. Sometimes beneath a funeral house. Tonight, it waited below an abandoned theater, where cracked statues stared at a stage covered in dust. Lucian arrived wearing a black mask. Kayla walked beside him beneath a hood. Neither spoke. They descended through a trapdoor behind the stage and entered a tunnel lit by green flame. The deeper they went, the richer the air became. Perfume, blood, poison. The market did not smell like crime. It smelled like appetite. Nobles sat behind silk curtains. Mercenaries leaned against iron pillars. Priests hid their sacred robes beneath dark coats. Slavers displayed enchanted collars. Assassins sold memories trapped inside glass. Everyone pretended not to recognize anyone else. Everyone recognized everyone. Lucian saw more than faces. Observer opened the hidden layers of the room. A merchant carrying plague spores beneath his tongue. A duke wearing a ring stolen from his murdered brother. A royal knight whose sword contained the soul of a child. A blind woman with no eyes who could see every lie spoken around her. Opportunities floated through the darkness like stars. Weapons, bloodlines. Secrets. Lucian did not rush. Greedy men reached for everything. Powerful men chose what mattered. At the center of the auction hall stood a circular platform carved from black stone. Behind it waited a masked auctioneer. His voice carried through the chamber without effort. Welcome, honored guests. No one answered. They were not there for courtesy. The first item appeared, a bottled storm. The second was a map to a dragon grave. The third was a pair of gloves made from demon skin. Bids rose, fortunes vanished. Lucian remained silent. Kayla leaned closer. You are ignoring weapons that could kill armies. I already know how they break. You are ignoring treasures that could build kingdoms. I know who will steal them. Her red eyes shifted toward him beneath the hood. What are you waiting for? A mistake. The auctioneer raised one gloved hand. Servants rolled a crystal case onto the platform. Inside lay a black book bound with silver chains. The air changed. Mana gathered around it. Whispers spread. Even the richest nobles straightened in their seats. The grimoire of hollow stars, the auctioneer announced, recovered from the tomb of an ancient warlock. It contains forgotten celestial magic and a living spell matrix. Lucian observed it. Grimoire of hollow stars, true nature, soul parasite vessel. Current hunger, extreme, preferred host. Ambitious mage with unstable foundation. Hidden value. The parasite can be refined into a living spell core by one who possesses a mana-devouring foundation. Fatal danger. Once bonded, the parasite slowly replaces the host's soul while increasing magical output. Lucian smiled beneath his mask. The poison was perfect. A golden paddle rose from a private balcony. Prince Alaric had arrived. He wore a white mask. He had brought Rosalie. Lucian recognized her posture immediately. She sat far from the prince. Her face remained pale after the healing trial. Her hands were empty. The blue ribbon was gone. Across the hall, Evelyn Ardent watched from behind a silver screen. She had come alone. She believed no one knew. The prince knew, of course he did. Alaric lifted his paddle again. The price doubled. A merchant withdrew. A duke cursed quietly. Evelyn's fingers tightened around the edge of her seat. The grimoire called to her. Not with sound, with promise. Power recognized hunger. Hunger recognized chains. Alaric continued bidding. Each time the price rose, he smiled wider. He was not purchasing a book. He was purchasing Evelyn. He imagined gratitude, admiration, loyalty, perhaps love. Lucian had seen that expression before. The prince believed every kindness was a leash. The final challenger withdrew. The hammer fell. The grimoire of hollow stars belongs to the honored guest in white. Applause followed cold. Envious. False Alaric stood. He did not collect the book himself. He ordered a servant to carry it toward Evelyn. The silver screen opened. The hall watched. The prince removed his mask. Gasps spread. He wanted witnesses. He always wanted witnesses. Lady Evelyn, he said, a talent such as yours should not be limited by ordinary resources. The servant presented the grimoire. Evelyn looked at the prince, then at the book. Her caution fought her ambition. Ambition won. She accepted it. The instant her fingers touched the cover, black mana entered her veins. No one saw it. No one except Lucian. The soul parasite awakened. It curled around Evelyn's magic core. It tasted her desire. It began eating. The crowd applauded louder. Prince Alaric smiled like a conqueror. Lucian turned away. The mistake had been made. Now he could build. He and Kayla left before the auction ended. Outside, rain fell over the capital. The city towers disappeared behind silver mist. Kyla walked in silence until they reached a narrow alley. Then she stopped. You knew the book was dangerous. Yes. Will she die? Not yet. Kayla studied him. You could have warned her. She would not believe me. That is not the reason. Lucian looked back toward the theater. The reason is that she must become desperate enough to accept my terms. Kayla smiled faintly. You really are practical. They returned to the ruined chapel before dawn. Below it, Lucian's hidden territory had already begun changing. The old prison chamber was gone. Workers from the lower districts moved through newly opened tunnels. Smugglers carried crates. Former soldiers reinforced walls. Runes burned across iron gates. Lucian had spent the money from the Dawnfire ring carefully, not on luxury. On foundations, he purchased the abandoned land beneath the chapel through false names. He bribed city clerks. He bought maps of forgotten aqueducts. He hired men ignored by the kingdom, veterans with missing limbs, mages with damaged cores, craftsmen blacklisted by noble guilds, orphans old enough to understand hunger, criminals too useful to execute. Every one of them had been discarded. Lucian did not offer hope. He offered wages, food, protection, purpose. Most importantly, he offered revenge against a world that had thrown them away. They accepted. The underground chamber became a fortress. The fortress became a city. Stone walls rose around the mana reservoir. Training halls opened. Workshops burned through the night. Hidden farms spread through old tunnels, where luminous moss grew without sunlight. Water flowed from sealed imperial wells. Storage rooms filled with grain. Weapons lined the walls. Kayla watched the transformation. You planned this before freeing me. I planned it while dying. What is this place called? Lucian looked across the central hall. Men carried timber. Mages repaired arrays. Children ate warm soup beside the forge. No banners hung above them. No royal crest claimed them. No priest blessed them. Nightfall. Kayla repeated the word. Nightfall. Every empire believes darkness means the end. Lucian placed his hand against the stone railing. They forget it is also when predators wake. Nightfall expanded, not slowly, violently. Lucian used Observer to find buried chambers beneath the capital, old armories, forbidden laboratories, forgotten treasury routes. He claimed them before anyone knew they existed. Destiny Plunderer revealed opportunities meant for heroes who had not yet earned them. Lucian took those too. A bloodstone intended for a future berserker became the heart of Nightfall's defensive array. A sacred furnace meant for a royal blacksmith was rebuilt beneath the workshops. A beast egg destined for Mirelle, the elven princess, hatched in Kayla's arms. The creature emerged small, black, wingless, ugly. Everyone laughed except Lucian. Species: void worm. Current appearance: hatchling. True potential: calamity dragon. Growth condition: consume cursed metals and sleep near abyssal sword aura. Bond preference: Kayla Draven. Kayla held the creature against her chest. It bit her finger. She looked at Lucian. It is perfect. The creature began eating broken weapons. Within weeks, it grew large enough to tear through iron gates. Kayla named it Ash. Lucian did not object. He trained while nightfall grew. Mana-devouring foundations swallowed every corrupted crystal he could find. The abyssal sword heart refined his movements. Observer analyzed every opponent. Kayla attacked him without restraint. Former soldiers joined, then mercenaries, then assassins. Lucian fought them all. He lost. He learned. He won. His body stopped looking weak. He hid the change beneath loose clothing. His aura remained suppressed. His public class still read Observer. At the academy, people continued mocking him. They called him useless. They called him jealous. They said Rosalie had abandoned him. They said Prince Alaric had taken pity on him for years. Lucian listened, then returned to nightfall each evening and sat above an army that obeyed his smallest gesture. The contrast amused him. Above ground, he carried books for instructors. Below ground, master craftsmen bowed when he entered. Above ground, nobles pushed past him in corridors. Below ground, killers lowered their weapons. Above ground, Rosalie avoided his eyes. Below ground, Kahala waited outside his chamber each night with a sword across her knees. She never asked for affection. She never begged for promises. She simply remained absolute loyalty. The hidden trait had not lied. One evening, Lucian found her asleep beside the door, Ash curled against her legs. He stood there for a long moment. In his previous life, loyalty had always demanded pieces of him. Rosalie demanded comfort. Alaric demanded obedience. The kingdom demanded sacrifice. Kayla demanded nothing. That made her more dangerous to his heart than any blade. Lucian covered her with his coat. Her eyes opened instantly. I was not sleeping, of course. You are mocking me. Yes, Kayla looked at the coat, then at him. A strange softness entered her expression. It vanished almost immediately. Someone is waiting in the lower hall. Who? A silver-haired woman trying not to scream. Evelyn had come. Lucian descended. She stood beneath the central arch, surrounded by armed guards. Her blue robe was torn. Dark veins crawled along her neck. Her eyes burned with fever. The grimoire of hollow stars floated behind her. Its pages turned without wind. Whispers leaked from between them. Kayla rested one hand on her sword. Evelyn looked around nightfall. Shock briefly pierced her pain. She had expected a hideout. She had found an empire. You built this, she asked. Lucian approached. Yes, you are an observer. Yes, that is impossible. Lucian stopped before her. So is the thing eating your soul. Evelyn's face tightened. The grimoire snapped shut. Dark mana surged. The guards raised their weapons. Lucian lifted one finger. They lowered them. Evelyn noticed fear entered her eyes. Not fear of the parasite. Fear of Lucian. I knew before you touched it. You let me take it. Yes. Her mana exploded. Blue fire filled the hall. Kayla drew her sword. Lucian did not move. The fire stopped inches from his face. Evelyn trembled. You could have warned me. You would have called me jealous. I might have listened. No. The word cut cleanly. Lucian stepped through the fire. His mana-devouring foundation swallowed the flames around him. Evelyn's eyes widened. He reached her. You did not come here for truth, he said. You came because every archmage, priest, and royal healer failed. Her lips parted. You came because the book whispers my name when you sleep. The grimoire shook. You came because the parasite knows I can devour it. Evelyn's knees weakened. Lucian caught her chin. Say what you want, save me, offer something. She stared at him. Gold? I have more than you. Magic? I will take yours if you die. Her pride cracked. What do you want? Your service. She went still. For how long? Until I release you. That is slavery. No. Lucian's eyes remained calm. Slaves are owned. You will be useful. Hatred filled her face. Behind it waited terror. The parasite tightened around her soul. She screamed. The grimoire opened. Black hands emerged from its pages and clawed toward her head. Lucian placed his palm against her chest. Mana-devouring foundation awakened. The hall darkened. The parasite shrieked. It resisted. Lucian pulled harder. Black veins burst across his arm. His bones groaned. The creature had fed on Evelyn's genius. It contained thousands of spells. It did not want to leave. Lucian smiled. He loved prey that struggled. The abyssal sword heart cut the parasite away from Evelyn's soul. Mana-devouring foundation swallowed it piece by piece. The grimoire burned. The black hands dissolved. The whispers became screams, then silence. A dark sphere formed beneath Lucian's heart. Living spell core acquired. Ability gained. Infinite spell assimilation. Compatible magic can now be observed, copied, refined, and stored. Evelyn collapsed. Lucian caught her before she touched the floor. Her breathing steadied. The dark veins faded. When she opened her eyes, the first face she saw was his. Not the prince, not a priest, not a hero. Lucian. The hidden screen appeared. Destiny bond altered. Evelyn Ardent has rejected the original path. Prince Alaric has lost a future companion. Destiny stolen. Celestial magic affinity. Evelyn slowly rose. Her pride had not vanished. It had changed shape. She looked around Nightfall again. Then at Lucian. What do you intend to build? You are standing inside it. This is more than a fortress. Yes. What will it become? Lucian turned toward the central balcony. Below them, soldiers trained. Mages studied. Smiths forged weapons from cursed steel. Ash roared inside the beast chamber. Kaela stood at Lucian's side. Evelyn watched them both. For the first time, she understood. Prince Alaric gathered people to decorate his glory. Lucian gathered power to create something that did not need the kingdom. An empire beneath an empire. A blade beneath the throne. A world, Lucian said, where I decide who is valuable. Evelyn lowered her head, not deeply. Not yet, but enough, I will serve. Above ground, Prince Alaric celebrated. He believed Evelyn was studying the grimoire he had gifted her. He believed Rosalie's humiliation would make her depend on him. He believed Kaela was merely a nameless traveler. He believed Lucian was still weak. He believed Destiny had only stumbled. He did not know the Dawnfire Ring had financed Nightfall. He did not know his legendary class had been reduced before it awakened. He did not know Kaela slept beneath Lucian's roof. He did not know Evelyn had sworn service in Lucian's hall. He did not know the beast meant for Morel was growing inside Lucian's fortress. He did not know Rosalie still touched her bare hair each morning and remembered the ribbon Lucian had taken back. The prince sat inside a palace full of mirrors. Every reflection told him he was chosen. Far beneath the capital, Lucian stood between two heroines and watched his hidden army bow. He had begun as the weakest character. Now every stolen destiny fed his throne, and the prince was still smiling. That was good. Lucian wanted him happy. A fall was only satisfying when it began from heaven. The catastrophe began during the Empire's victory festival. Trumpets screamed from the palace towers. Golden banners covered the capital. Crowds packed every avenue, drunk on wine and royal promises. Prince Alaric stood upon a jeweled platform beneath the statue of the first emperor. He wore ceremonial armor polished so brightly that the sunlight seemed to kneel before him. Rosalie stood at his right. She smiled when the crowd looked at her. The moment they turned away, the smile vanished. Her healing trial failure had followed her through every corridor of the academy. Nobles whispered that her class had been overvalued. Priests questioned her talent. Women who once envied her now laughed behind silk fans. Alaric had offered comfort, not kindness, comfort. He told her Lucian was bitter. He told her Lucian feared her brilliance. He told her the pendant had never contained anything special. Rosalie wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him. Yet every night she dreamed of fire. A crimson bird spread its wings inside her chest. It screamed Lucian's name. Then it burned. Evelyn was absent from the royal platform. Alaric had sent servants to her residence. They returned trembling. Her rooms were empty. The grimoire of hollow stars was gone. No letter remained. No explanation. Alaric's humiliation hardened into fury. He told the court that Evelyn had entered secluded training. He told himself she would return. She had to. He had paid for her power. He had chosen her. Therefore, she belonged to him. Kaela was also missing. The mysterious black-haired traveler had vanished with Lucian. Alaric had ordered the city guard to find them. They found nothing. Lucian continued attending academy lectures. He sat quietly at the back. He answered when called. He lowered his eyes when nobles insulted him. He looked exactly like the weakest student in the empire. That made Alaric hate him more. The prince could feel something slipping away. He did not know what. He only knew that every path once meant for him now ended in darkness. The royal announcer raised both hands. Citizens of the empire, today we celebrate the strength of our chosen prince. The crowd roared. Alaric smiled. The earth split beneath him. The sound came first, a deep crack. Not loud, worse. It crawled through bone. Wine glasses trembled, horses screamed, birds exploded from rooftops. Then the sky turned black. A circle of darkness opened above the capital. It did not resemble a storm. It resembled an eye. Something ancient looked down through it. The golden banners stopped moving. The wind died. Every flame in the city went out. Silence swallowed the festival. Then blood began raining from the sky. The first drop struck Alaric's cheek. He touched it. Red stained his glove. Someone screamed. The scream spread through the crowd. Citizens pushed against one another. Children were crushed beneath boots. Nobles abandoned carriages. Guards shouted commands no one heard. The black eye widened. A horn sounded beyond the northern wall. The note was so low that windows shattered. The city gates burst inward. Demons poured through. Not the weak beasts used for academy training. War demons. Towering creatures covered in bone armor. Winged horrors with human faces sewn across their chests. Black hounds with burning mouths. Serpents large enough to wrap around buildings. The first line of royal guards disappeared beneath them. No glorious battle followed, only meat. Steel broke, bodies opened, blood flooded the stones. The crowd turned into a living tide of panic. Alaric drew his sword. Golden mana exploded around him. For a moment, the people cheered. The radiant knight had acted. The chosen prince would save them. Alaric raised his weapon and released a blade of light toward the nearest demon. The attack struck its chest. The light shattered. The demon did not slow. It crossed the plaza in a single leap. Alaric barely blocked its claw. The impact threw him through the royal platform. Wood and jewels burst around him. Rosalie screamed his name. The demon landed above him. Its jaws opened. A royal knight sacrificed himself. The creature tore the man in half. Hot blood covered Alaric's face. He froze. This was not how the story was supposed to unfold. Enemies were supposed to fear him. Crowds were supposed to praise him. Women were supposed to watch him shine. He had never imagined the smell of open bowels. He had never imagined a loyal knight's lower body crawling away without its torso. He had never imagined terror could empty his mind so completely. Rosalie ran toward him. A wounded child grabbed her robe. Please. The child's stomach had been torn open. Rosalie looked down. Her hands began shaking. She pressed them against the wound. White healing light flickered, failed. The child screamed. Rosalie tried again, failed. The crimson bird inside her chest beat its wings. Fire spread through her veins. She reached for the pendant that was no longer there. Nothing answered. The child died beneath her hands. Rosalie stared at the blood. No. Another wounded citizen crawled closer. Then another. They recognized the spirit healer. They surrounded her. Save me, my daughter, please. I cannot feel my legs, Saintess. Help us. Rosalie backed away. I cannot. They continued reaching. Their fingers pulled at her dress. Their blood smeared across her skin. She screamed and pushed them away. One old man fell beneath the fleeing crowd. His skull cracked under a noblewoman's heel. Rosalie turned and ran. The people she had once dreamed of saving cursed her as she escaped. At the Eastern Avenue, noble families forced their servants into the streets to clear paths toward the inner palace. Carriages struck civilians. Knights abandoned checkpoints. Merchants locked their doors while neighbors begged outside. The capital's pride peeled away in moments. Beneath the perfumes and banners, everyone became an animal. The palace gates closed. Thousands gathered outside. They pounded against the iron. They screamed for the emperor. Royal archers fired warning shots. The crowd did not retreat. Then the archers fired into them. Bodies piled against the gates. Inside, ministers argued over escape routes. Generals blamed one another. Priests demanded sacrifices. The emperor ordered the royal vault emptied. Gold was carried toward hidden tunnels while citizens died above. Alaric reached the palace with Rosalie and several surviving knights. His armor was broken. His face was pale. The court still bowed when he entered. Not from respect, from habit. A general rushed forward. The northern district is lost. Another shouted over him. The western walls have fallen. The magic towers are not responding. The academy has been breached. The demon tide is moving toward the palace. Alaric looked around. Where is Evelyn? No one answered. Find her, your highness, find her. His voice cracked. The hall went silent. Rosalie stood behind him, covered in blood that was not hers. Lucian, she whispered. Alaric turned. What? He might know what is happening. Rage filled the prince's eyes. Why would he know? He always knew. The words escaped before she could stop them. Rosalie remembered every warning Lucian had given, every map he had drawn, every hidden danger he had found, every disaster he had prevented before anyone else noticed. They had called it luck. They had called it obedience. They had called him weak. Now the empire was collapsing, and the only person Rosalie wanted to see was the man she had humiliated. Alaric grabbed her wrist. You will not speak his name again. She looked at his fingers around her arm. In the past, his possessiveness had felt flattering. Now it felt like a chain. A terrible roar shook the palace. The ceiling cracked. Dust fell over the court. Outside, something enormous landed in the royal gardens. The palace windows exploded inward. A demon lord rose behind the shattered glass. Its body was covered in crowns melted from black iron. Human arms grew from its back. Each hand held the head of a royal guard. The ministers screamed. The creature smiled. The bloodline of the sun. Its voice filled the hall. At last, Alaric stepped backward. The demon lord pointed at him. There is the false heir, false. The word struck harder than any weapon. Alaric raised his sword. I am the chosen prince. The demon laughed. The sound made several servants vomit. Chosen by whom? Golden manna gathered around Alaric. The demon opened one hand. The light died. Alaric stared at his sword. The weapon had turned gray. The Dawnfire ring should have completed his class. The Sun Sovereign should have awakened. The divine relic should have protected him. It was gone. His destiny remained crippled. The demon lord crossed the hall. Royal knights attacked. It brushed them aside. Men struck pillars hard enough to burst. The emperor fled toward a hidden door. One of the demon's many arms caught him. The old ruler screamed. The creature lifted him above the throne, then tore him apart. The emperor's blood poured over the golden seat. The court broke. Ministers crawled beneath tables. Noblewomen clawed at guards. Priests prayed to gods who remained silent. Alaric dragged Rosalie toward the escape tunnel. You must heal me, I cannot. Then awaken your bloodline. I do not know how, you are useless. Rosalie stopped. The word opened something inside her. She looked at him. His face twisted with panic. No warmth, no nobility. No heroic light. Only fear and anger. The same disgust she had once shown Lucian now burned in Alaric's eyes. You said I was special, she whispered. I said what you needed to hear. The truth came out because he was too terrified to hide it. Rosalie's face emptied. Behind them, the demon lord entered the throne room. Alaric shoved her toward it. Slow it down, she stumbled. For one heartbeat, she did not understand. Then she did. The prince had offered her as bait. The same prince she had chosen over Lucian. The same prince she had trusted. The same prince who claimed every woman beside him was precious. Rosalie fell to her knees. Alaric ran. The demon lord ignored her. It watched the prince flee. Then one black chain shot from its palm. The chain wrapped around Alaric's ankle. He crashed face first onto the floor. The creature dragged him back. Alaric screamed. He clawed at the marble. His nails broke. Blood streaked behind him. Save me, no one moved. Rosalie, she remained kneeling. Help me. His voice became shrill. The prince who had mocked weakness now begged the woman he had offered to die. The demon lord lifted him by one leg. Where is the true inheritor? Alaric wept. I am the inheritor. The creature crushed his knee. Bone burst through skin. His scream filled the palace. Where is the one who stole the dark paths? I do not know. Another joint shattered. Alaric sobbed. I do not know. The demon lord sniffed the air. Then it looked downward, through stone, through tunnels, through layers of forgotten history, toward nightfall. Its smile widened. There, far beneath the capital, alarms rang through Lucian's fortress. Nightfall did not panic. Its gates closed. Defensive arrays awakened. Soldiers moved into formation. Mages took their stations. Smiths carried weapons from the sacred furnace. Food stores were sealed. Healing rooms opened. Children entered protected chambers. Every movement had been practiced. Every route had been planned. Lucian stood upon the central balcony. Kyella waited at his left in black armor. Evelyn stood at his right, surrounded by rotating spell circles. Ash had grown enormous. The void worm crouched behind them, smoke leaking from its jaws. Below, the discarded people of the Empire looked upward. No one screamed, no one fled. Lucian had warned them. He had built for this. The black eye in the sky was not unexpected. The demon tide was not a surprise. In his previous life, the invasion had begun later. Prince Alaric's stolen destiny had delayed it. Lucian's interference had changed the timeline. The enemy had come early. That only meant the prince would suffer sooner. A scout knelt. The palace has fallen. Lucian nodded. The demon lord is moving toward us. What are your orders? Lucian looked across nightfall. His empire breathed beneath the dying capital. The weak had become armed. The abandoned had become disciplined. The forgotten had become dangerous. Open the upper gates. A murmur moved through the soldiers. Kayla smiled. Evelyn adjusted her gloves. Ash lifted its head. Lucian descended the stairs. Above ground, the streets were filled with demons. The palace burned, the academy towers collapsed, citizens hid beneath corpses. Nobles begged servants for protection. Royal knights threw away their crests. Then the ground opened in the center of the capital. A black gate rose from beneath the stones. The demons stopped. The surviving citizens stared. Soldiers in dark armor marched out. Not royal soldiers, not holy knights. Nightfall. Their formation did not break. Their shields locked. Their weapons glowed with runes stolen from forgotten vaults. Mages appeared on the rooftops. Crossbows rose from hidden tunnels. Ash burst from the gate. The void worm spread newly formed wings. Its roar shattered every remaining window in the district. Kayla stood upon its back, her black sword pointed toward the demon tide. The first swing split the avenue. Hundreds of demons vanished beneath a wall of abyssal light. The surviving citizens forgot to breathe. Evelyn raised one hand. Spell circles covered the sky, fire, ice, lightning, gravity, every spell she had observed. Every spell the living spell core had refined. They descended together. The demon army disappeared beneath a storm of impossible magic. Then Lucian walked through the gate. No crown, no golden armor, no royal banner. Only a black coat and the calm expression of a man arriving for an appointment. The weakest student in the academy stepped over the corpse of a war demon. Observer activated. The entire battlefield opened before him. Every weakness, every mana channel, every hidden core, every route to death. The demon lord landed at the end of the avenue. It carried Prince Alaric in one hand. Rosalie stumbled behind it. The prince's face was swollen. His leg hung at an unnatural angle. When he saw Lucian, confusion crossed his ruined features. Then disbelief, then terror. Nightfall's army bowed. Kaela lowered her head from the back of a dragon. Evelyn stood beside Lucian like a royal mage before her sovereign. The citizens watched. The nobles watched. The academy survivors watched. Everyone who had mocked Lucian watched. Alaric's lips trembled. No, Lucian smiled, the same quiet smile he had worn while dying. The demon lord threw Alaric aside. So you are the thief of destiny. Lucian looked at the creature. No. The abyssal sword heart awakened. Darkness gathered around his hand. I am the owner. The demon lord attacked. Its many arms tore through the street. Black chains covered the sky. The force of its charge crushed buildings before it reached him. Lucian lifted one finger. A single line of sword aura appeared, thin, silent, almost invisible. It crossed the demon lord's body. The creature stopped. Its crowns cracked, its chains fell, its many arms separated. Its enormous body split from head to waist. The demon lord collapsed, one strike. No struggle, no glorious duel, only execution. Silence spread through the capital. The demon army froze. Kayla raised her sword. Nightfall charged. Demons fled. They were cut down from behind. The creatures that had slaughtered royal knights now screamed beneath the weapons of beggars, exiles, and criminals. Prince Alaric lay in the blood-soaked street. He stared at Lucian. His eyes moved toward Kayla, then Evelyn Ash, then the army. Understanding arrived slowly. Every missing opportunity, every failed awakening, every vanished heroine, every treasure that slipped from his hands. Lucian, it had always been Lucian. Rosalie stood nearby. She looked at Lucian as though looking at a god. Not because of the power, because of the calm. He had prepared for everything. While they laughed, he built a fortress. While they celebrated, he trained an army. While Alaric collected praise, Lucian collected the future. The weakest character had saved the capital. The chosen prince had tried to feed Rosalie to a demon. The crowd began kneeling, one by one, citizens, soldiers, academy instructors, nobles covered in filth, even priests. They lowered their heads before Lucian. Alaric watched them. The worship meant for him flowed toward another man, his glory, his women, his destiny all gone. Lucian stopped before him. Alaric tried to speak. Only blood came out. Lucian crouched. Do not worry. His voice was soft. I will not kill you today. Hope appeared in Alaric's eyes. Lucian smiled wider. That would be too kind. The capital survived. That was the lie written into the royal records. The truth was simpler. Nightfall survived. Everything else merely remained standing. For 3 days, black smoke covered the sky. Demons burned in piles beyond the northern wall. Royal soldiers collected bodies from streets that no longer belonged to them. Priests washed blood from temple stairs while pretending their gods had answered. The citizens did not believe them. They had seen the holy barriers collapse. They had seen the royal army run. They had seen Prince Alaric crawling through blood with a shattered leg. They had seen Lucian kill the demon lord with one finger. Faith changed quickly when terror stripped away tradition. Every morning, more people gathered outside Nightfall's gates. Farmers, craftsmen, widows, wounded soldiers, minor nobles carrying chests of gold. They came to pledge loyalty. They came to beg for protection. They came because the empire had shown its true face, and Lucian's hidden kingdom had shown something far more valuable than mercy: competence. Lucian accepted those who could be useful. He rejected the rest. No speeches, no promises, no comforting lies. Nightfall had food because Lucian had prepared. Nightfall had medicine because Evelyn had built healing laboratories before the invasion. Nightfall had soldiers because Kayla had trained them until fear became an insult. Nightfall had walls because Lucian had spent every stolen coin on stone, steel, and survival. Those who mocked his caution now called it divine foresight. Lucian never corrected them. Names did not matter, results did. Prince Alaric remained alive. His leg had been set badly on purpose, not badly enough to kill him, badly enough to make every step hurt. The royal healers could have repaired it. Lucian dismissed them. Alaric was placed inside the old throne room. The emperor's blood still stained the floor. The shattered golden seat remained beneath a burned imperial banner. Lucian ordered no repairs. Ruins told the truth better than monuments. Alaric sat in a wooden chair before the broken throne. No royal cloak, no jeweled sword. His blonde hair had been cut unevenly after blood dried through it. Bruises covered his face. One eye remained swollen. Two Nightfall guards stood behind him. They had once been royal soldiers. Alaric had dismissed one for losing an arm. He had imprisoned the other for refusing to beat starving civilians during a tax riot. Now both wore black armor. Neither looked at him. Rosalie waited near the wall. Her dress had been replaced by a plain gray robe. She had not slept properly since the invasion. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the wounded child dying beneath her hands. She saw Alaric pushing her toward the demon. She saw Lucian walking through an army, as if death itself had opened a path. Her fingers repeatedly moved toward her hair, toward the place where the blue ribbon had once rested. Evelyn stood beside a pillar, reading a report. She did not spare the prince a glance. Kayla leaned against the broken throne with ash curled at her feet. The void worm had reduced its body to the size of a hunting hound, but smoke still leaked from its nostrils. Alaric stared at them. The women who should have stood beside him. The powers that should have carried his name. The future that should have belonged to him. All gathered around Lucian. The doors opened. Lucian entered. No announcement preceded him. None was needed. Every person in the hall straightened. He wore a black coat without decoration. His steps were quiet. His expression was calm. In one hand he carried a glass of dark wine. Alaric's breathing became uneven. Lucian sat upon the broken throne. The seat had been designed for emperors. It looked as though it had waited for him. He lifted the glass, drank slowly, then looked at the prince. Alaric tried to rise. Pain forced him back. No title. No insult. Only a name spoken like a prayer. Lucian said nothing. Alaric swallowed. "We can fix this," Kayla laughed softly. Evelyn turned one page. Rosalie closed her eyes. Lucian rested one arm against the throne. "What would you like to fix?" "The kingdom. It is no longer yours. I am the crown prince. Your father is dead. Then I am the emperor." "No." The word entered the hall like a blade. Alaric gripped the chair. "The bloodline is mine." Lucian glanced at the blood staining the floor. "Your bloodline did not protect the city. The nobles will support me. The nobles are outside begging to enter my walls. The church declared me the chosen guardian at dawn." Alaric froze. Lucian smiled faintly. The same high priest who called observer a servant class knelt so deeply that his forehead bled. The prince's lips trembled. "You cannot take everything. I already did." Silence followed. Alaric looked toward Evelyn. "I saved you from that auction." She lowered the report. "No. You bought a parasite because you wanted me to owe you. I gave you power. You gave me death wrapped in silver chains. I did not know. That is the problem." Her voice was cold. "You never knew anything." Alaric turned toward Kayla. "You barely know him." Kayla's hand rested on her sword. "I know he opened my cage. I would have freed you." "No," she looked down at him. "You would have placed a prettier collar around my throat." Alaric's face twisted. He looked toward Rosalie. Desperation entered his eyes. "Tell them." She did not move. "Rosalie." Her shoulders shook. "Tell them I protected you." She slowly raised her head. "You pushed me toward a demon. I was injured. You called me useless. I was afraid." So was Lucian when we watched him die. The sentence escaped her like blood from an old wound. The room became still. Alaric's eyes widened. Lucian swirled the wine in his glass. Rosalie stared at him. She did not know why she had spoken those words. She did not remember the ruined capital from Lucian's previous life. Yet fragments lived inside her dreams. Steel entering his chest, her heel crushing his fingers, her own voice saying he should be grateful. Destiny remembered even when the mind did not. Lucian saw it. Observer revealed the truth. Rosalie heart. Destiny instability severe. Fragments of the erased path are awakening. Emotional state. Regret nearing collapse. Hidden desire. Return to the moment before betrayal. Impossible desire detected. Lucian almost smiled. Impossible desires were the sharpest forms of punishment. Rosalie stepped forward. The guards moved. Lucian raised one finger. They stopped. She approached the throne. Slowly. Every step weakened her pride. When she reached him, she fell to her knees. Alaric stared. Kyla's expression hardened. Evelyn watched silently. Rosalie lowered her head until it touched the blood-stained marble. I was wrong. Lucian drank. She waited. He gave her nothing. Her voice cracked. I believed him. Still nothing. I thought power meant goodness. Lucian looked at her. You thought power meant safety. Rosalie flinched. Yes, and I looked unsafe. Tears struck the floor. Yes, you were ashamed of me. Yes, you wore my ribbon while following him. Her breathing stopped. A memory flashed behind her eyes. A golden palace. Alaric's hand around her waist. Lucian standing alone beyond the garden. She began trembling. Lucian leaned forward slightly. You told me I was weak. Rosalie covered her mouth. You told me my life had value only when I died for someone stronger. She shook her head. I do not remember, but your soul does. Her tears became sobs. I am sorry. Alaric laughed suddenly. The sound was broken, ugly. Do you think kneeling will make him love you again? Rosalie turned. Hatred entered her face. Alaric continued. He does not love anyone. Look at him, you are all tools. Kayla pushed away from the throne. Lucian stopped her with a glance. Then he looked at the prince. You are finally correct. The words silenced everyone. Lucian placed the wine on the arm of the throne. Everyone is useful until they are not. Rosalie's face went pale. Evelyn's gaze sharpened. Kayla remained still. Lucian continued. The difference between us is simple. I never call a chain love. He looked at Evelyn. I offered service for survival. She lowered her head once. He looked at Kayla. I offered purpose for strength. Kayla smiled. Then he looked at Rosalie. I offered you nothing. Her expression shattered. Why? Because you already showed me what you choose when nothing forces you. She crawled closer. I can change, you can. Hope flashed. Lucian crushed it immediately. Far away from me. Rosalie reached toward his boot. Kyla's sword left its sheath by a finger's width. Rosalie, stop, please. Lucian's eyes remained empty. She whispered the word again. Please. In another life, he had lived for that voice. He had crossed burning fields because she asked. He had bled beneath assassins because she cried. He had handed her the pendant that awakened the bloodline meant to shake the world. Then she stood beside his murderer. He felt no anger now. Anger required attachment. Rosalie was only a finished account. You wanted the pendant, Lucian said. Her hand rose toward her chest. He removed it from beneath his coat. The old pendant hung from a dark chain. Crimson light moved inside the stone. Rosalie stared. The phoenix within her soul screamed. Fire burst across her skin. For the first time, her bloodline fully recognized its source. Not Prince Alaric, not the church, not fate. Lucian, she reached toward it instinctively. Lucian closed his hand. The light vanished. Rosalie gasped as though suffocating. This could awaken you, he said. She nodded desperately. With it, your healing flames could restore districts. You could become the greatest saintess in history. Her eyes filled with hope. Lucian stood. He walked past her toward Ash. The void worm lifted its head. Lucian dropped the pendant into its mouth. Ash swallowed. Rosalie screamed. Crimson fire erupted through the beast's scales. Its wings expanded. Golden red patterns spread across its black body. The phoenix feather fused with the void worm's core. The hall shook beneath its roar. Observer flashed. Void worm evolution complete. New species. Eclipse dragon. Abilities acquired. Immortal flame, abyss rebirth, soulfire breath. Rosalie collapsed. Her future had been eaten before her eyes. Not stolen secretly. Not lost by accident. Fed to another creature, because Lucian considered that creature more valuable. She pressed her forehead against the floor and screamed until her voice broke. Lucian returned to the throne. Kayla looked at Ash with pride. Evelyn calmly added a note to her report. Alaric watched Rosalie's despair. For the first time, he understood his own future. Lucian was not going to forgive. He was not going to negotiate. He was not even going to hate them. He had already moved beyond them. That terrified Alaric more than death. The prince forced himself from the chair. His damaged leg buckled. He fell, then crawled. The former royal soldiers watched him drag himself across the floor. Alaric reached the steps below the throne. He lowered his head. I am sorry. Lucian leaned back. The same man who once drove a sword through his chest now knelt beneath him. I was jealous, Alaric continued. You were smarter. The soldiers trusted you. The women listened to you. I thought you would take the crown. Lucian remained silent. I only wanted what was mine. Lucian's eyes darkened. That was your first mistake. Alaric looked up. Everything was mine. No, Lucian's voice was soft. You stood beside things other men found. You wore power other men built. You accepted love other men earned. Then you called the collection destiny. Alaric began crying. Not proudly, not quietly. His face twisted like a frightened child's. We grew up together. There it is. Lucian smiled. The final weapon of useless men. Alaric shook his head. We were brothers. Lucian's smile widened. On the day of his death, Alaric had called him a stepping stone. Now the prince crawled toward that same stone and begged it to become family. Lucian repeated the words exactly. You were born to be a stepping stone. Nothing more. Alaric went still. The sentence returned to its owner. His mouth opened. No sound came. Lucian lifted the wine. You told me my death would unite the kingdom. He drank. You were right. Outside, thousands chanted Lucian's name. The sound entered through broken windows. Alaric heard it. His people, his capital, his kingdom. United beneath the man he murdered. Lucian placed the empty glass aside. Take him below. The guards seized Alaric. He screamed. No, Lucian. Wait. They dragged him toward the doors. I apologized. Lucian did not look at him. I begged. The doors opened. You cannot do this, Lucian finally answered. I can. Clawed at the floor. His broken nails left red marks across the marble. What will happen to me? Lucian looked down from the throne. You will live beneath the eastern bell tower. The prince's face lost all color. The place where his first stolen destiny had once waited. The chamber has no windows, Lucian continued. No servants, no mirrors. Each day, a guard will read reports about Nightfall's growth. Alaric began shaking. You will hear Kayla's victories. Kayla sheathed her sword. You will hear Evelyn's discoveries. Evelyn returned to her report. You will hear Rosalie's name disappear from history. Rosalie remained broken on the floor. And every year on the day you killed me, I will visit. Alaric stopped resisting. Lucian's expression became gentle. I will ask whether you still believe I was weak. The guards dragged him away. His screams faded into the corridor. Rosalie remained. Lucian ordered her sent beyond the southern border. No title, no wealth. No healing bloodline. She would live among refugees who knew her as the healer who failed while a child died beneath her hands. She begged to remain in Nightfall. Lucius, she begged to serve. He refused. She begged only to see him once each year. Lucian did not answer. Silence was the last thing he gave her. Rosalie left the capital barefoot. No one followed. Years passed. Nightfall rose above the ground. Its black towers replaced the ruined palace. The royal family vanished from banners. The church rewrote its prayers. Nephils who survived learned to bow without being asked. Evelyn became the first mage to command every known element. Kyla led armies across the demon territories and returned without defeat. Ash grew large enough to cover cities with its wings. The abandoned became governors. The exiled became generals. The weak became citizens beneath laws that rewarded usefulness rather than birth. Lucian never called himself a hero. Heroes needed admiration. He preferred obedience. He sat upon a throne built from the empire that once mocked him. Beneath the eastern bell tower, Alaric aged in darkness. Each day, guards read reports. Kayla had conquered another kingdom. Evelyn had opened another school. Nightfall's population had doubled. The Eclipse Dragon had burned a demon empire to ash. Lucian had rejected another crown because the world already treated him as emperor. Alaric listened. He screamed less each year. Eventually, he stopped speaking. Rosalie died far from the capital, not in battle, not as a saintess, not surrounded by admirers. She died during winter inside a small refugee clinic. Her final possession was a strip of faded blue cloth she had purchased from a merchant because it resembled the ribbon Lucian took back. Her last word was his name. No one carried it to him. He already knew. Observer showed him the moment her destiny ended. He closed the panel without emotion. On the anniversary of his death, Lucian descended beneath the eastern tower. Alaric sat against the wall, old, thin, blind from years without sunlight. Lucian placed a glass of wine on the floor. The prince smelled it. His lips moved. "Are you still there?" "Yes." Alaric began crying. Lucian asked the same question he had asked every year. "Do you still believe I was weak?" Alaric lowered his head. "No." Lucian looked at the man who had once believed the world belonged to him. The chosen prince had no crown, no heroines, no followers. No name beyond the chamber, only regret, only darkness. Only the endless knowledge that everything he desired now flourished beneath another man's hand. Lucian turned to leave. Alaric reached toward the sound of his footsteps. "Please," Lucian stopped. The word echoed through both lifetimes. He smiled. "Cold, quiet, complete. Fate never punished you." Alaric lifted his ruined face. Lucian opened the door. "I did." The darkness swallowed the prince again. Above, nightfall's bells rang across an empire without heroes. Lucian returned to his throne. Kayla waited at one side. Evelyn waited at the other. Ash slept beneath the black banners. The world bowed. Once, they called him the weakest character. They had mistaken patience for helplessness. They had mistaken silence for submission. They had mistaken his back for a road to glory. In the end, every road led to his throne, and every person who stepped on him was buried beneath it.